Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is a bit of an unusual start to the channel after I've been away for a minute. In my defense, I did try to record several videos in the meantime, but I didn't actually record the video. Got a lot of hours of audio and no video. Didn't have the wherewithal to redo those because those weren't honest impressions. It would have just been me lying. But this is... I really want to take a look at this game just to see what the state of it is. This is, if you are not already aware of the series, I suppose, this is Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions. I think I got that right. If, again, you are not aware, this is a mobile game that I just happen to be playing on my computer because thankfully Google Store is now allowing me to do this, or anyone, basically. They're doing this in beta, and I wanted to really see the state of it. What is this game like now, and what would this be like for a new player in particular? Just to start off, I love this game. I have been in this since basically day one. I think there have been some recent periods of time that I have not been playing the game, partially because I didn't have the option to. I have a Pixel 6 Pro, and it would crash basically anytime I tried to open it for almost 2 months. So having that time away, there were a bunch of things that happened that kind of gave me the opportunity to see things from a slightly more fresh perspective, and let's just take a look at things here. The bottom is going to be cut off here at the beginning because I just want to highlight some stuff up at the top here. There's not really much, just want to get it out of the way before I talk about it in a minute, but just a lot of numbers, just the very top line, so much information. Lyle is the name, that doesn't really mean anything, but rank 168. That'll be explained to somebody at some point, but if you're just opening this for the first time, there is so much just in that top. NRG, that's pretty common between the different mobile games, but again, if you're new to the whole thing, what the hell does that mean? That's 3 billion next to a piece of gold, presumably, and then a smaller number next to a crystal. What does that mean? Doesn't really matter where my numbers are, but just those should, I think, start at 0. But, I mean, it's not a great start, but I'll adjust some things and then we can see the rest of what actually matters here. So put yourself, again, in the perspective of a new player that just opened this up for the first time. In their defense, the developer's defense, which is not a phrase that I prefer to say, but they do tutorialize new players and things don't open up immediately. For example, down here at the bottom, I don't want to click on guild, but the guild does not open immediately. I don't believe duel opens up immediately either. Summon, on the other hand, is absolutely going to open up immediately, or very soon, for new players because they want people summoning. They want to get them in that gacha loop so they can, get them to spend money on the game. So this is where things are now. Unfortunately, especially unfortunately, right now, the developers, I don't think they've quite caught up, but they are trying to get the global version caught up to the Japanese version of the game. And so there's a lot of overlapping events. And so there's just a ton of stuff happening basically all the time. So right now we've got Apocalypse Festival number 2 summon. Holy crap, that's a lot of information. Holy crap, that's a lot of information. Just tons and tons of text thrown at you. If you started at the very beginning, this was much simpler. There were only a few. I think some of them were free. Here's obviously the paid one. Don't look at how much I have. That's irrelevant. And this one, featured selection. Select. There's an exclamation mark next to that. That must be important. Oh my god, this is a ton of information. What's this coin? I don't see that anywhere. What's a unit shard? I more or less explained to you at the beginning, but to a limited extent, and you have tons of information thrown at you, especially because this is a mobile game that has been going for years at this point. they gradually added new mechanics, new information for people to absorb. For people like me, fine. I got the basics down, and then they started adding new stuff like, oh, I can go over level 99 now. Oh, I can go over level 120 now. I was able to be at 99, have characters at 99 and deal with that and figure out how it works. Then when they got the mechanics to get them over level 99 to 120, I was able to learn that and get it down and be good. And then when they got the newest mechanic of getting them up to level 140, I'd already figured out how to get them up to level 120, so that wasn't much more. But this is all now available to people at the start. This game, unfortunately, is becoming more and more inaccessible. And if you have, as a new player, access to all of this at the beginning, who are these people? What's going on? Why is it paid? What level 120, is that good or bad? And what's this? It says vision card in there somewhere, I think. Actually, I'm not even sure it says vision card. You are guaranteed normal. Oh, it said somewhere vision card at the bottom. No explanation of that yet. It will have been at some point during the tutorialization, but you can go in here pretty quickly. But also, even outside of the perspective of a new player, even for me, coming back after not exactly 2 months away, because I did at least have the ability to take a look at what was going on occasionally before this desktop version became available. I think it has been fixed on the on my phone now, but this is just a lot easier. But stuff changed in that 2 months that even I'm having trouble catching up to. They've got, oh yeah, we've got a Nier Automata event, we've got a, what was this, Lunar New Year event, we've got another one. I don't even know who this guy is at this point. It is truly absurd trying to get caught up in any fashion, especially, again, if you're new. This is so many summons. I currently have 10,000 of the Viz, I just know to call it that. And I've had a lot more because as a seasoned player over time, sometimes I'll just log in, get my daily bonuses, and call it a day because I've got a few minutes. But for a new player, this is, I'm not even going to count, but there are like at least 3 to 6 per event. Oh, there's someone else in there. Summon events per event. And there's 6 going on right now. So there are easily over 20 different summons that you can do. Some of them are paid, some of them aren't, some of them are step summons. And then, oh, what's a ticket summon at the bottom? Oh, there's nothing under normal ticket. And if you're going to be new, they're going to throw normal and select tickets at you as well. And like, what's a Dwarven Hammer? What's a Magicite? What is any of this? So I think new players are going to have a terrible time. And that's something for even seasoned players to consider. We have a voice to some extent when it comes to how these things can progress. Like, there are votes, community votes for certain things. I think it's mainly characters, but we do have the ability to, just ask that things be easier for the new people to at least join. They do give new players a lot, but getting a lot is actually part of the problem. So that's literally just one tab, and that is so difficult for a new person. That's so difficult for me to look through sometimes because I don't know what it is that I want. Do I want this character? I don't know. I don't know anything about them. Do I want this vision card? The information, the numbers look high, but then there's 8 different events and I have a limited amount of Viz. So then do I use it only free? Do I then pay for more? That is really what they want you to do, but it is, I wouldn't say egregious. This game does a pretty good job if you're, I don't know, patient. I don't know if patient is the right word, but it allows you to not pay to win, basically. I mean, if you want a duel and you want to do the PvP, you're gonna have to pay if you want to be competitive, but I don't really know that that's necessarily the point of this. For me, it's always about the story. That's really all I generally care about. I never bother with PvP. So, but other people are going to, and it's impossible. But my point is, you still, every day you log in, you can get anywhere between 500, sometimes 600 or more of the summoning currency. So over the course of a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, if you stepped away from it but you just log in every day, it's very easy to accrue enough of the summoning material, the Visior, maybe that's how it's pronounced, to be able to get a character or a card in the next summoning event. But there are other games where you really have to pay, or it takes multiple months to even get one summon. I'm not going to go into which ones because they know who they are. But I just want to take from here, I just want to take a look, like, how are things going? I haven't had an opportunity to really look at too much, but there's a lot. Yeah, see, I still have to download data for the shop right now. I remember last time I was here, you could buy some of the current shards, and most of it seems about the same. I wonder if it's going to be in here anywhere. There is a new mechanic in the... God, what is it? I think it has to do with characters' abilities? Or no, maybe it is just their abilities. I think it's called a burst core. I wasn't able to play when that got implemented, but I had started using it a little bit. So having gone in my unit tab here, I do have several characters at level 140 because, again, I have been playing this for a long time, and sometimes it just kind of happens. But what I was talking about was all the way down here. And again, look at the... Oh, can I zoom out? Oh, thank God. This, again, from a new player perspective, what is any of this? This is a lot of information. Fortunately, as a new character, you're only going to be able to do anything with these first couple rings around here, just because you don't have enough job points, which is good. That is a very good thing to prevent new players from being overwhelmed. But, again, they also do like to throw things at new players, like they're going to throw them job keys or JP keys or something like that, which allows you to go into certain event battles and get a bunch of JP. And then, suddenly you're able to unlock all of this. But to what end? Like, is that valuable for a new player? It almost seems like they do need to be kneecapped for at least a week to get used to the whole thing. But anyway, I digress. This down here is the burst core thing. I think I have a bunch probably at this point, but I don't have this one unlocked, certainly. It does so much. Enhances Protector's Holy Judgment. Deal damage L to targets within range and lowers target's attack/magic for 3 turns and significantly raises own defense, spirit, unit attack resist max HP for 2 turns and recovers the amount of HP raised and recovers a set percentage of own HP M when HP falls below 50% when taking damage during the next 3 turns. My lord, was that... Okay, that was at least 2 sentences, but the first sentence was just explaining the broad thing that it enhances one ability. If you are the kind of person that is able to slow down and take things one thing at a time, these types of things aren't going to be that overwhelming to you, but definitely for a lot of people, Josh Strife Hayes, I bet a lot of people are familiar with his channel. I think he calls them stop moments, where everywhere along beginning a new game, or even having played it for a long time, there are points where you do something where the player is going to stop for some reason. And as a new player, so many spots where I don't think they are poorly explained per se, or that the UI is necessarily too bad, but for such a long-term game, well, long-term, I mean, it's been a few years at this point, there's just so much to deal with. I know Ramada, does show up. Oh wait, is it Ramada? I don't remember. Somebody shows up and she explains things to you relatively well, but they're not particularly lengthy explanations. It does walk you through doing them, but even having gone through them myself, I know for a fact that there is a ton of information that is not given to you. And it's not necessarily information that's not given to you, it's more like the meta of the game. Trying to figure out how to do it effectively is absolutely in no way given to you. If anything, it just says experiment. Upgrading weapons also has become absolutely absurd. I've basically all but given up on it until I'm given a decent incentive to go back and really look at things, but I think a lot of weapons have been given, now they can be raised up to +6, but the problem is, there's so much here. Like, this is just what I have. A lot of these can't even upgrade, which, why not? I can see that they're here, they could be better, why can't I upgrade them? You are told to go in here and craft something at some point, but then, what is good? What does everything do? For example, the Hero's Ring, Bravery bonus 10. What does that do? Does that increase my bravery by 10? Is it 10%? What does that 10 necessarily mean? Even here on the Mithril Armor, defense and strike attack resist up. I, to this day, do not know what those necessarily translate to. Is defense a 1-to-1 reduction of physical damage? Is it a percentage? So if my defense is 10, it reduces all physical damage by 10%. Same with strike attack resist up. Is that a percentage? Is that a numerical value? That has never been explained because certain things do say a percentage. For example, some weapons, instead of strike attack resist, or instead of a number at the end, it is a percentage. It will say attack up 50%. That's optimistic. 1%, 10%, whatever it is, or JP gained or acquired up 20%, 30%. So strike attack resist up 1, that sounds horrible because I'm dealing with tens of thousands of damage. So a new player, this is not explained to them, and as a long-term player, I still don't understand it either. I am sure there is someone that explains it online, but I don't necessarily like when you have to find basic information online. Some of the meta information about what's the best build or who should equip what, that I can definitely see being online because that's either opinion-based or that's subject to change. This is not subject to change, this is core. This number could truly mean several different things, but we never have an explanation directly from the game tutorial, and to my knowledge it's not in the game anywhere either. I want to circle back to another qualm I have with how you equip characters. Currently I'm working through, I just finished another story, which is an event, which I'll get to in just a second. People that have played the game already have an idea what that means, but there is so much information that is, again, just overwhelming. So let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, this has improved a little bit. There used to be, at least if I remember correctly, if you did a hold click, it just kind of looked like a graph. Not even a graph necessarily, but a chart, I think, might be more appropriate, with all of the stats and all of the increases, and it sort of has, oh, maybe it's stat details. Here, if you can see where I'm clicking next to HP, it says 8,991. Here I can see the basic value is 3,513, and these are added onto it. Just doing the math, that comes out to that. It took me a long time to figure out that that's what this meant. So HP here, 8,991, and then it has an up arrow with 5,478. I think it was probably within the last 6 months or so that I figured out that the white value there, 8,991, is with that 5,478 added onto it already. It is not in addition, so it's not 8,991 plus 5,478. It is The yellow or the green arrow is showing you this is how much it has gone up. I think that is bad UI design. That's an opinion, certainly, but it's easier to figure out perhaps with defense, spirit, accurate, accessory, I'm sure that's what that means, evade. They're not all going to be doubled, or at least it's unrealistic to think that, it's improbable to think that they're all being doubled, but also this is a Final Fantasy game, so it's still possible that they could be doubled, all of them. However, this could be more easily explained. You have no reason ever to click on stat details or affinity/resonance, which is another mechanic. I do think that these things are, I might hesitate to say good, but they might be good to have these stacking mechanics. So you have your health can be increased by equipment. It can also be increased by Esper effects and party abilities. And your affinity with others... Oh, resonance is your Espers, which again I'll get to in a minute. But your affinity with others also increases certain attributes. Agility, dexterity. I still don't know what dexterity does. Luck. I still don't know what luck does. I've even looked that up and still do not have a clear explanation what these things do. And I also don't necessarily know range. Does that mean if they're within a certain range, I get these bonuses, like the 2 characters? Does it increase my range? It's not necessarily clear to me. Again, it might be explained somewhere, but a new player definitely not going to be able to figure this out. And also, as an ongoing player, it is not the best design. I will say I have seen far worse UI designs, so I can't complain too much, but I will complain some anyway. Either way, just under the character here, there's what looks like a weapon, an accessory, and armor of some kind. Then there's also, what's this square? Who is that? Click on it. It's an Esper. Wow, there's a lot of information here. And again, probably explained somewhere, but unclear. These numbers. Is it a 1-to-1 I get them? I can't say off the top of my head looking at this. And resonance. Wow, that's something. What does 158 mean? You click on the character, then you see Esper stats plus 100%, and extend map effect plus 30. Plus 30 what? Turns? Is there an effect that it increases by 30 of? Is it percent or numerical? Again, not clear information. And then you have these main and sub. What are those? Click on those again. Oh, equip vision card. There is just, again, so much information. And this is where I think it starts getting a little absurd, especially recently. Well, starts getting even more absurd. It's a Final Fantasy game, and it's a mobile game. That's 2 levels of absurdity. They are not additive. I assure you they are multiplicative. And they are greater than the sum of their parts in their absurdity. But you can see limited party ability. I don't know what this symbol is. I don't know what this symbol is as a new character. I can see there's some sort of colored thing over here. I could reasonably assume without knowing ahead of time that that's an element. But then you click on the plus, and then it says light. Activation conditions, job conditions can be activated by all abilities. And then these indicate what is happening to you. So magic up, agility up. That is not unreasonable to figure out, but again, it is ill-explained, and then it just gets more complicated from here. Lions Who Would Defy a God is a more recent card and another mechanic that has recently been added as well. Or, not the card per se, but it is one of that type of thing. Acquired AP up, perfect, great. Well, now what's all this? Esper Killer up 25. What does that mean? It's a limited party ability, okay. Quests only. That's a lot of names. Story quest, hard quest, vision hard quest, character quest, event quest, beast den, porcelain tower, selection quest, legendary reliquaries, multi-quest, raids, guild battles, guild raids, guild quests. that's not necessarily even all of the types of quests or events you can undertake. It might be pretty close. But that is just an indication of how many things there are, even for a new player to keep track of. I still don't know what Esper Killer Up means. I can at least understand that that happens during a quest. Then we get to a new card, which, Great Sword, Bow, Katana, Staff, Devout, etc. What does Devout mean? Does it just mean that if they're using one of these types of weapons, they're considered devout? I don't know. And limited party ability. Oh, this one says duel. Does that mean it's only in duels? Yes, arena, class match, quick pick matches, free matches, friendly matches. Oh good, that's great to know. So imagine all of these cards. This isn't even all of them, I assure you. I am missing many because many of them are ultra rares, which are expensive to get and especially expensive to level up all the way. They all have slightly different, and in some cases wildly different, abilities. This is critical hit rate up. When do I need to be doing more critical hits? Water attack up to all of the party. That's a party ability rather than a bestowed effect for that character. So then it's a matter of trying to figure out, okay, is there a time when I need to be having more water party members? This one has magic attack up, 35. Is it numerically 35? If it is calculating the magic attack, does it add 35 to magic and then do whatever background multiplication from there? Or is it an increase by 35%? I still do not know. Then here more simply, Ish, max HP up 5%. That sounds nice to have, but also attack up 16. Not attack up 16%, just 16. So I can only assume, since that's not a percentage and otherwise there is, that must just increase the attack stat by 16. Again, if you have the patience for it, this is probably relatively easy or not super difficult to figure out. However, getting the perfect, or as the best you possibly can, getting the perfect combination of characters and unit cards, or characters, vision cards, espers, the right equipment, getting that all equipped, especially for duels and guild battles, is, I won't say impossible, but it is so difficult, even for experienced players, that at some point you have to decide, do I just play this game based on vibes? Like, right here, I have this sword equipped because it's given as part of his quest, I think. I have this accessory equipped because, I don't know, it looks cool. And then I have these espers and vision cards equipped because that's what it told me to. I just did auto formation and then had some favorite equipment that it pulled in automatically. I don't know. Sure, maybe it is better not to have the Dark Golem vision card in the sub slot, but I don't know. I'm not truly sure. It said that was good, so I'm just gonna go with it. I will say the auto formation is not perfect, but it is wonderful for anyone that is not interested in absolutely min-maxing the hell out of their characters. I love it. I use it all the time, almost exclusively, honestly, at this point. I do occasionally double check that someone has the right vision card equipped, like I want my Yuna to make sure to have this Bahamut vision card that Lucio has, but otherwise, I don't really care that much. As long as they've got something in every slot, I'm pretty happy. So let's go back to the main menu for a minute. This, I believe, might be the first time I have extended this window. Again, we are back to having 1,000 different things to do, and a bunch of exclamation marks that I haven't even addressed yet. One by guild, one by missions, tokens, friends, Chocobo Expedition, Esper, and units. And I don't think I'm missing anything else. All of these, except maybe notices, are significant to your gameplay at some point. Challenges, you get incredibly valuable items from here. Haven't even addressed shards yet, but I'm not really going to go further into that at this point. You just need to know that that's what increases the level of your character. And there are, within challenges, so many challenges, some of which I have fortunately completed and never have to look at again. That makes it really nice to not have to worry about. The daily purchase bonuses. Here we have what you can get for spending more money on the game. Fortunately, it's not really that necessary. However, if you want to get your unit leveled up to 140 and it's a limited time ultra rare, you might have to do this. You may have to spend enough money to get 5,000 Visior in I don't even think it's necessarily one day, although it might be. Or it's within the time period that this goes on. However, that 100 is a lot. That is going to help you get leveled up. And you can be sure that 5,000 Visior is not cheap. I believe it would cost somewhere around $100, give or take. 100 US dollars, let me be specific. I think the other one that is a bit of complication here is the Chocobo expeditions. Here, not too difficult, but you can send your people on expeditions with Chocobos to get stuff. But there's so many, and then you have bonuses, and what do I need right now? It's nice to have, but if you're flooded with all this information, you're not going to pay attention to this. Then there is the shop and the Mog shop. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to leave those out. Just know that within the shop, you can buy items with regular gold, or you can buy a lot of items, in fact, most probably at this point, with Visior. And they are increasingly expensive, sometimes prohibitively expensive, or in some situations, you can just straight up spend cash. You don't even have to go through the whole rigmarole of getting Visior and converting it. It is just a cash shop in some situations. Now let's take a look at the far plane. This is one of the last things I want to take a look at. There is, again, so much information here. The Beginner's Hall is very nice for beginners. It gives you tips. Not enough, probably, but you can go through all of these. And it will give you information that you're going to want. Let's take a look at vision cards. This is, if I recall correctly, a lot of what you are given as you are tutorialized in the first place. It's not necessarily additional information. So for example, this is showing you equip vision cards to greatly boost your fighting power. Okay, cool. Then you can enhance them and awaken them. What does that mean? So like I said before, you are not given, unless you are really paying attention to the original tutorial and that it's walking you through these things, you're not given much information, and you can't go back, to my knowledge, to look at those tutorials that walked you through it. However, it is very nice that you are given a lot of relatively high-level items and even some summoning tickets by completing these quests. It is not strictly necessary or required, but it is strongly recommended. However, here we have a lot. Legendary reliquaries I have not engaged with yet because I sort of just came back and I'm still trying to figure it out, frankly. But you have selection quests where you can only use certain elements. Only characters with certain elements. Beast Den is how you upgrade your espers. Porcelain Tower isn't even unlocked yet, so how can we know what that is, especially as a new character? Multi take on quests with friends? Absolutely not, but that is what people have the ability to do. And events is where a lot more. It breaks down even further. Even myself looking at this, I'm like, this is far too much information. Fortunately, a lot of this is not even unlocked and viewable unless you have done certain things, but we've got event quests and another story, which are largely always available. Path of the Conqueror, don't even know what that is anymore. Then we've got day/training. Wow, there's a lot of things here, but you have time to look through those. Key quests, What the hell's a key quest? I still don't even know why Magicite reward quest is open. And Farplane Archives. Story, equipment, unit, title. Again, don't really remember what these are. I think I can probably unlock them. Boy, I sure can. Got a lot of those keys. I know looking at all of this what most of it is for. I remember starting Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, the original one, which I still have, and I need to go back and see how things are going over there. There was so much information. There were so many mechanics, so many places I could click and go, and I had absolutely no idea how to do it effectively. So I think the effective-ish thing to do is to just go to the story. Play the story quests, it might tutorialize you more there, and some things weren't even available until you had done certain story quests, and then click around, try, see what happens. That being said, I know there are things I still have never figured out in that, different ways to upgrade more efficiently or effectively. I know there are items that I have technically had the ability to get, but I don't know how. And this is quickly becoming that. It is almost impenetrable in a lot of ways, even to me, and I've been, like I said, playing this for years. So it seems, to me, it feels like a disservice to do this last, but let's take a look at the story. I will not go into world quests. We already were in the far plane, or the hard quest list, or the favorited story quests, which I kind of need to remember to do sometimes, but just know they are there, and there is a lot more within them as well. I am currently in Chapter 6. Chapter 6 of what? Part 3. I don't even know if there's another part on the way. I don't know if Chapter 6 is the last one. However, that's where I am right now. I will say, after the criticism that I have leveled at this game so far, I do really enjoy the story of this game. It is the only reason I keep playing this game. I do not care about the PvP. I am in a guild, but I do not interact. I just am there for the bonuses that I get from them. I do interact with the mechanics. I do, there's stuff that you can do there to help things along, but I'm not interacting with my fellow guild mates. But the story is, well, honestly, it's a Final Fantasy story. I don't really know what else to say about it. That is a very general statement. I guess it is bananas. My biggest qualm with the story and how it is relayed is that it bounces back and forth between characters a lot, and you do not have a sense of time. From part 1 to part 3, I do not know if 1 year, 1 month, 1 decade has passed. It is completely unknown to me. I do know, relatively actually, the start of part 3, you found out someone is pregnant. I'm near the end of part 3, possibly, and I can tell that she is about to give birth. So, roughly 8 to 9 months maybe have passed since the beginning of part 3. Each scene, there's 3 scenes per chapter, does not follow one coherent story from Battle 1 to Battle 10. Battles 1 through 3 might be with certain characters, and then some political machinations might happen, or some intrigue, or a cliffhanger for those characters, and then it jumps to a new set of characters, and then whatever story they need to say there goes through for a few battles, and then it'll go to a new set of characters, and it has done that since part 1 for the most part. It has only gotten worse, honestly, as the parts have gone on. I think actually part 2 might have been pretty rough in a lot of situations, but even in spite of that, I just am so interested in this story and the characters and what they're doing, who they are talking to, and what's going to happen next, and all the twists and turns and the cliffhangers, and things are being set up for the future, and they're making allusions to things that are like, oh, I wonder in part 4, whenever that happens, is that going to show up? Is that going to be what they deal with at that point? They just some, throwaway line, but it is so significant to the long-term storytelling of this game. I'm not going to... Actually, you know what? For the hell of it, let's go into a mission. And I think I'm using party 1? Yeah. This... truly, this is not even like my... I don't know, best party. This is just what I have set up, and I haven't wanted to change it because it's doing the job for now. Eventually, I'm probably going to rework who's in here because there are characters that I would prefer to use. But I do like this, so I'm going to go with it for now. Honestly, this character over here, he's kind of trash. He's not good, and maybe I'm just not utilizing him well. But again, when you're going into a mission, there's so much stuff. I can tell that this is the favorite button. Story added to favorites. Great. This shows a lot more information. Like, oh, wow, does this all matter? Can I, recommended level, can I start the mission if I don't have that? Items, battle settings, auto, initial placement, party ability. Oh my god. Auto formation. Thank God for auto formation because you can just click that and call it a day. In fact, I don't know, who's party 4? Do I care? No, I do not. And then when you do auto formation, auto all, prioritize favorite equipment, overall, all attack types, like these are the stats and elements that you can have be auto formationed, whatever you want to call. And then apply. Apparently this is my auto formation group, party 4. Fine, let's go for it. Let's embark on this, and I do hope there is some story just to show, maybe talk about some of it as well, how it's portrayed. I do truly love the battle music. I think it's been different in all of the parts so far, although, to be honest, I don't normally have my volume up on my phone. But now that I have this on my computer, I have kind of the benefit of listening to it again. But, either way, this is almost unfortunate because I was so excited to have a tactical RPG from Final Fantasy again. And it's just so much easier and quicker and just like better to play with auto on. I've got auto and ×2 speed. And it's just so nice. Like you can play individual, like controlling manually, but everyone's so strong that I'm not worried about dying or losing at all, ever, really. I will say I did just recently manually control a battle because it was just Lucio against just one other person who was very strong compared to my abilities. So I had to play tactically. However, for most other battles, especially in the story missions, if you've got people up to level 120 or 140, you don't really have to engage. You can just put it on auto and then maybe control things manually if there are just some weird conditions for a particular battle and you want to get it taken care of without your characters attacking things that they don't need to be.
Don't overdo it.
Yeah, they can take care of it on their own. I do love the victory fanfare. It's always wonderful to hear in any Final Fantasy game. Oh look, more stuff, more stats, more changes. Oh, there's my rank going up. It's so funny how much there is. Again, it's possible to figure everything out or have a workable knowledge like I do. I don't know everything, but I can get through perfectly fine. But it is getting to be so much. Fortunately, I think there should be some dialogue after this, maybe? Oh, well, I guess I can go fuck myself. Oh, here we go. Did the next one, so now we can actually see what's happening.
The miasma is not so thick here.
Well, that's terrific. There are so many characters that have been in this story and that are currently in each other's stories that we have to be at least well over 40 or 50 characters that we are actively following and that are doing stuff in the background and they show up occasionally. There's so much, but either way, I do love the character art. Their voice acting is actually pretty good. I have to give them credit. It is relatively well acted, and some of the voice actors are in other like high-profile games. I can't think of what off the top of my head, but I think there is a character, God, what was he in? He's been showing up recently in the story here, and he has been in a couple of, like, big budget JRPGs recently, and, like, good for him.
Than this, however.
There are also a bunch of inconsistencies from one battle to the next. Like if there's a scene before one battle and then a scene after the next battle, characters will have moved in the world in a position that they weren't before, but in a way where they shouldn't have been able to move or there was no reason for them to. Like, they are not very consistent with the storytelling from scene to scene.
I'll be careful. Realm Scourge, wasn't it? It doesn't seem to be here.
Thanks to our shinobi training, we can still maintain our breath.
Yeah, your average person would never make it this far. So, it's as we feared.
It truly does seem like it will take all of the nation. We're under attack!
What? What's going on?
Gunfire from up ahead! I'm going in! We're right behind you.
So that's pretty much the long and short of it. This truly does boil down to it is a long-term, ongoing mobile game where they are just adding mechanics a couple times a year, maybe a little bit more, and it's getting more and more dense and impenetrable. I think that is unfortunate because it is satisfying to summon characters and have, oh, I'm playing with my favorite Final Fantasy characters. For example, I love Agrias. She is one of my favorite characters in all of Final Fantasy media, even though she is, frankly, a little bit more underdeveloped than I would like. But I was so happy when I got the chance to summon her. So, for new people, especially people who have recently gotten into Final Fantasy and maybe are even okay with a mobile game, you're gonna want to get in now, I guess, because it's getting to be just a little bit too difficult to follow everything. And you don't necessarily have to follow everything either. You don't even have to equip a character with a weapon or armor, and you can still be successful. Maybe less so at the beginning, but once you've got characters of a higher level, I could probably unequip Sephiroth with his sword and still do just fine. But it's a lot. Now, to be clear, I do really like this game. I would say it might even be more appropriate to say I'm addicted to this because it has the right kind of feedback loop and its monetization is not super egregious. Don't get me wrong, it is egregious. If you want to have anything in this game and you're starting from scratch, you're probably going to have to spend some money. I am fortunate because I started at the very beginning where they were handing out Visior left and right and there weren't even that many characters to get, so I was able to slowly build things up over time. But starting from scratch, there is so much, and if you want it, there's no way to get it without paying for it, which is unfortunate. That is another barrier to entry when it is you can't even get what you want without spending a ton of money. Now that being said, this is a free game, so if you're the kind of person like I am, where you're like, well, I didn't have to pay for a, like, AAA game that would have been $70, so I can throw a few dollars at this instead. That might serve you well. It served me pretty well. But again, I really do like this game, but there are plenty of valid criticisms to throw at it. I don't mean to necessarily disparage it too much. I mean, again, it is a mobile game and it does want money from you, and Square Enix really does like to appease their shareholders as opposed to their consumers sometimes, as the industry is moving in that direction. But that's a completely separate issue for another date. So, I hope this has, if you're a new player considering the game, this might have helped you, and I hope if you're an ongoing player that this is something where you've maybe had a second thought about just how absurd this is, and Maybe if you are in a guild and you see new players coming in, you'll be a little bit more receptive to helping them because you can understand that it's not as easy for them as it is for us who have been playing it for a very long time. Either way, hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe so I can get closer and closer to monetization, and I'll see you in hopefully a relatively soon video, and maybe I'll actually get to work on that retrospective for the Star Ocean series.